Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this live webinar that's being organised as part of the Humber Apprenticeship Showcase programme, powered by SpringPod. So just a couple of housekeeping pointers before we get started. This talk should last up to about 45 minutes. Please don't forget that you can use our Q&A function to ask our guest questions. They're here to help, so please do make the use of their time. Due to the number of questions that tend to come through, though, we may not be able to answer them all. So if you spot a question that you're going to ask anyway, you can use the thumbs up underneath to use the upvote function if you spot a question you were going to ask anyway. If you do miss this webinar or need to leave halfway through, then we've got you covered, as we usually have this recording up within about 24 hours, so you can come back and watch it whenever you need. In today's webinar, we're going to be talking about Balfour Beatty, and joining us to do just that is Tom Webley, Laura Purdy, Michaela Maunders, and Emmanuel Urbani. So we're going to head over to talk to Michaela, and she's going to introduce everyone for us.
Thank you very much. Yes, so we're from Balfour Beatty. We're currently working on the A63 Castle Street scheme here in Hull. If you'd like to move on to the next slide. So just a bit here about who Balfour Beatty is. So we're a leading international infrastructure group. So basically we finance, develop, build and maintain the vital infrastructure that we all depend on. So we've got 26,000 employees with over 110 years experience. And we not just operate here in the UK, but also the USA and Hong Kong as well. Next slide. So we've just got a bit of a video that will show you just who Balfour Beatty are. Okay, if we go back to the slides. If we move on to the next one. Yeah, so just a bit about our sectors here in Balfour Beatty. Next one. So we've got various different sectors from transportation to power and energy, social infrastructure, as well as the water industry as well. Next slide. So just a bit about our project to give you an idea about what it is that we're doing. So the A63 Castle Street is a dual carriageway that runs through the centre of Hull. What we're doing is we're actually building a £355 million scheme where we're upgrading Myton Gate roundabout. And to do that, what we're going to be doing is creating a new underpass which will run underneath the junction, creating a split level junction. This will then improve journey times and reduce congestion in the area. We've just got another video here that will show you just what the improvement will look like once it's complete. There's no sound on this one, just so everyone knows. Okay, so that just gives you a bit of an idea there as to what this scheme's going to look like once we're complete. Just if you would like to move on to the next slide. Some of the work that we've all been doing as well is working in Trinity burial grounds. So some of you might have seen a great big white tent that we've had up. We've had around 90 archaeologists working in that tent. And what we've had to do is exhume around 10,000 bodies so that we can create an area where the slip road will go through. And what we've been doing is the team of archaeologists there have been working together to piece together the history of Hull. And they're working on that research project now as we speak. So the work there is now finished. All the bodies have been reburied along with some of the artifacts that some of them were found in as well. So there is a dedicated website for any of that information. If anyone's interested, just let us know. Okay, if you'd like to move on to the next slide. And the one after. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand over to some of our people. If you'd like to move on to the next slide. So first up, we've got Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura Purdy. I'm working as an apprentice quantity surveyor on the A63, and I've come from the A19 project. In my role as a quantity surveyor, I'm set to manage all of the commercial aspects of the job, so keeping costs as low as possible, in all to make a profit for the project and Balfour Beatty as a whole. The reason why I wanted the role in the first place was because not every day is the same as a quantity surveyor. So one day I'll be in the office and the next I might be out on site, which was something that was exciting for me. I thought, as well as something that really excited me, was being able to see an end product at the end of it. So, for example, I came from the A19 and I was able to see the project from the very beginning until the end. So driving along the road on the very last minute was really exciting for me. So yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. If we move on to the next slide. Okay, so next up we've got Emmanuel.
Hi everyone, my name is Emmanuel and I'm a digital delivery apprentice. I recently moved on to the A63 Castle Street project from the Low Thames Crossing project down in Kent, where I spent my first year on the apprenticeship. Part of my day really consists of maintaining the federated model, which we use as a tool to build the actual scheme. The federated model is made up of multiple different 3D models, and the benefit of that is we're able to actually see what we expect the project to look like. So that fly-through video that you saw earlier, that is essentially, if you could imagine having that in a piece of software that then shows you, all right, I can go into this and I can see how this is going to look, and you understand all of the elements of the project. Another part of my role is doing the digital rehearsals with the aid of the program, which details how things are going to happen and when they're going to happen, and with the 3D model, and that helps us avoid mistakes when we go out onto site to actually start building. I think a highlight of my career so far has actually just been able to work on multiple different projects and actually be a beneficiary or have a benefit of being able to use the projects that I'm working on. So the Low Thames Crossing project, that's something that's quite close to my house. And again, with the A63 Castle Street project, better and improved roads are always going to be a benefit to myself. And as a driver, I really can't complain when I hear that, yeah, we're going to be improving some roads. Hopefully in 10 years time, I would like to have worked on multiple different projects around the world and have managed my own team and potentially be chartered by that point. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Okay, so next we'll move over to Tom.
Hi, my name's Tom. I'm an apprentice materials technician working in the A63 Castle Street improvement. So my job role is essentially to carry out quality control and deliver quality assurance to projects to ensure that the materials complying. So this includes testing materials such as like concrete, earthworks, aggregates, asphalt. And currently I'm just over 1 year into an 18-month long apprenticeship program. So like a typical day in the A63, well, it's quite hard to define really because every project and every day is sort of different depending on what project you're on. But typically a standard day on the A63 would include, but it would not be limited to carrying out compliance tests on materials. This could include like crushing concrete cubes or testing the bleed and workability of fresh concrete, as well as carrying out earthworks testing on site and in the laboratory, such as like measuring the pH from stabilized soils. The highlights of my career has been, I've only been doing it for a year, but I managed to work on the East Leeds Orbital Route Phase 3 program, which I managed to witness about 10 kilometres of greenfield transformed into highways and ensure every metre of the ground was suitable to be built on. This ensured like a smooth road, ensured there's no bumps in it, and it's nice and smooth. We also had the chance to take part in activities, promoting apprenticeships, such as this, and take part in the Balfour Beatty per 30 challenge, where we compete with other groups around the country to make a difference and work on team building skills. It's similar to the Duke of Edinburgh Award. In 10 years' time, I would expect myself to finish my apprenticeship, hopefully, and complete a degree with Balfour Beatty related to materials engineering or civil engineering, join the ICE, and hopefully well on my way progressing through the levels of chartership. I would enjoy working in different parts of the world and be excited to work somewhere I don't know much about. So this could be like Michaela said, maybe somewhere in America or Asia, something like that.
Perfect, thank you very much. Okay, move on to the next slide. So just a bit more about how you can shape your career with us. So obviously we've got everything from highways, tunnels, railways, bridges, schools, hospitals. We do pretty much anything. So just the different career opportunities that we've got on offer. If you move to the next slide. So obviously there's a lot of different options. So it depends on what route people want to go down. So we've got everything from engineering, surveying, IT, finance, digital, as you've heard, accountancy, sort of finance, that sort of thing. We've also got the materials, we've got communications, which is my job, and it basically doesn't matter either what level you're at. So we've got different options that are available. So obviously we've got the apprenticeships, which these three guys are on all different levels. You've also, if you did want to go to university, you've got the paid internships and also graduate positions as well after that. Okay, if you move on to the next slide. So these here just give you an indication as to the types of levels that we're looking at. So like advanced apprenticeships, you need GCSEs, your higher or degree apprenticeships, and you need A levels and diplomas. So at the moment, we've actually got 2 apprenticeships vacancies out at the moment. One actually is in quantity surveying, which is what Laura's in, and one's a materials engineer as well, which is what Tom discussed earlier. So those are both open at the moment. They're open until the beginning of March, and that's due to start in September if anyone's interested in them. And there's also a graduate position open as well in digital, which is what Emmanuel does as well, just if anyone's interested. Okay, move on to the next slide. So if you are interested in any of those opportunities or you want to see what else is out there, there's a link there straight to our website. I've also done a direct link there as well to the A63 vacancies, just to give you an idea if you do want to stay local. We've also got an FAQ page with more information if anyone's interested, parents, teachers there. And then also there's a link there to our emerging talent team if anyone had specific questions about our recruitment. Okay, that's the end. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you for that amazing session, guys. Thank you to Michaela, Tom, Laura, and Emmanuel. So we'll now go over to some questions and get to know you guys more and see what these guys want to know. So keep sending your questions in, guys, and we'll start with this one. So what were the major changes in your industry because of the pandemic?
So I think it did take a couple of weeks for us to get used to the pandemic. I think with a major change like that, it's always going to have some kind of impact. But actually, we've been able to carry on pretty much as usual. We've noticed a few issues with deliveries, that kind of thing, but we've just been able to plan ahead, and we're getting everything we need and doing much better at that.
That's great news. And it looks like you're all back in the office. So that's also good to see that you can carry on as normal as possible. So, next one is, are there any advice you would give to your younger self? That's a great question. Maybe we can come to a couple of you guys for this one.
Yeah, I could take that. I'd probably say just do what you enjoy. I think you shouldn't feel pressured to get it right the first time, because actually making an effort is more important than getting it perfect. So I'd probably tell myself to just give it a go. If there's something that you're interested in or you have any slight interest in, just give it a go. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. You can just try again. You could try something else, and then just keep trying until you find something that really does resonate with you and that you fit with, really.
Brilliant answer. Anyone else got an answer that they want to jump in with? Nope. All right. Sorry, I thought Tom might be speaking.
Yeah, I think Laura's trying to speak.
Oh
I
dear.
was going to say, like, a lot of the stereotypes associated with the construction, I think quite a lot of them aren't necessarily true, because you may think construction, maybe just think like a building site, but there's so many different options there, like within Balfour Beatty as well. So you may just think building the road, there's engineers, but there's so much more. Obviously, you've got manual, you've got the digital delivery side, you've got quantity surveying side, you've got project management, you've got what I do, compliance testing. There's so many different opportunities there. It's not just necessarily just building. There's loads of different things that go with it. So I'd sort of open your eyes and broaden the horizon a bit more.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tom. How about Laura? If you ever want to answer a question, give us a wave and we'll give you a moment to pop round to Michaela's station if that works for you guys. You can run around now.
She's
Great.
on her way.
Perfect.
Hi, really sorry about that. I don't know what's wrong with my microphone. So advice I'd give my younger self is to just connect with other people within the industry as much as you possibly can. I think that's one thing that really helped with my application when applying for the role as an apprentice quantity surveyor. Speaking to people within the industry really helped, and also not being I think it's quite sometimes it could be quite scary for especially a female going into the construction industry. I think there's quite a lot. It's stereotypical for just it's a male-dominated industry. So being a female within the industry is really important. I think it's slowly growing and it is getting there. So don't be afraid of that step, like being a female within the industry, because it definitely it's not you don't need to be a male to be in it. So there's definitely roles everywhere. So yeah, that would be my advice. Sorry. I'll go back over to my desk.
That's great to hear, and it's great to hear that you've fitted in well into the industry and that there's a place for women now and that it doesn't feel as scary as you might originally think. So the next question is, what's your work-life balance like?
I'd say it's pretty okay in terms of we're able to manage the workload, but there are times where there are busier times of the project, as you would expect. That's around major installations where things do ramp up quite a bit. But in general, you do get the time to manage your workload and delegate as you need to.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think Balfour Beatty are really good about keeping that work-life balance as well and giving you that flexibility to carry out the role that you need to. But if anything, if you ever did need more time off for your personal life or anything like that, they'd always be there. So I think it's a really good place to work for that factor.
Great to hear. Okay, then moving on. So the next question is, what was the most challenging project that you worked on, and what were the big challenges that you came up against?
I personally would say this is probably one of the most challenging ones. I think, especially from my point of view, I think usually when you think of highways construction, you think more often not about motorways. I think the difference with the A63 one that we're working on is you've obviously got residents and stakeholders, businesses, that kind of thing, all really close by. And I think it's you know, you end up having that sort of balancing act between trying to deliver this major scheme that has all these improvements while trying not to disrupt their lives too much, because it's obviously going to always have an impact on their day-to-day lives as well. So I think that's a challenge in itself. And then also just how the engineering challenge just of the scheme generally. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I would say from like an engineering point of view, it's really, I'd say the A63 is probably the most difficult one I've worked on. Because so many sort of different challenges, lots of niche sort of things that go on ahead that you wouldn't expect in other projects. From our point of view, there's loads of there's hundreds of concrete piles going in, loads of stuff that you don't actually get to see, but there's so much engineering behind just this little underpass. This is why it's the most expensive road in the country. It's quite a challenge, really, this one.
Yeah, wow, thank you.
Yeah, I'd say similar to Tom and Michaela. It's the A63 project. That's probably the most complex project that I've worked on. Again, because it's in the city centre, there's so much that's going on. There's so many considerations that need to be made around the engineering side of things, so as to not disturb the existing landscape too much. From my point of view, there's a heavy dependence on digital rehearsals. So when we do go out onto site, we're able to ensure that what we're getting it right the first time round. So as many digital rehearsals as we can do before that, as many clash detections, which will eliminate or reduce the risks associated to some of the works out on site, then that's what we're going ahead for.
Great answers, guys. Thank you. Laura, did you try and jump in before Tom, or are you happy with the answers there? You can give us a nod. You're happy. Fabulous. All right. So next up, if we have a little chat about why you guys chose to pick an apprenticeship and why particularly with Balfour Beatty. If anyone wants to jump in, then I'd love to hear about your experience and how you got to becoming an apprentice.
Hi again, sorry. So I knew that I didn't want to go to university full time. I knew I wanted to get straight into work because I feel like already I'm a step ahead of people who are in university in terms of the work life, because I've got a year and a half's worth of experience with me at the moment, and by the time I finish my degree, I will have had 5 years experience, so I would have already had all of the experience needed to. And so when people graduate from university, they won't have as much experience as myself, so I'll be teaching the ones who've just graduated from university. So I think apprenticeships are the best, was definitely the best decision for me, and as well as quantity surveying as a whole, because you can gain that experience, first-hand experience, alongside your degree. So that's definitely the reason why I wanted to get an apprenticeship over go to university.
I joined as a level 3 apprentice. I already had A levels before coming, but my A levels were in business studies, geography, and English literature. And I realised that sort of those A levels I couldn't really sort of go into engineering degree role. So I took a step back as a level 3, wanted to sort of upgrade my sort of portfolio of qualifications. But it's also given me like almost 2 years of experience when I do apply for another role or decide to go with the company and become a materials engineer. So it's sort of the experience can be really, really beneficial to you, especially if you've got 2 years experience working on different projects. You know, you can get to know different people, see people you've seen projects before. There's a lot of you get to meet a lot of people and learn a lot about the industry, stuff that you wouldn't necessarily know before. So yeah.
For me, I actually took the route of going to uni beforehand. So I went to uni and studied sport and exercise management. And along the way, I decided that that wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. At that point, I did a few other jobs within various other industries, and then decided that I wanted to retrain and get into the construction industry. And I found digital delivery something that was very appealing. So I applied, and the place that I felt would have been the best fit was Balfour Beatty, considering the amount of options that were available and the amount of opportunities that I saw I would be able to receive.
That's great to hear. So, all quite different stories. So it shows that apprenticeships can work for different people at different stages. So, this is kind of a question for you, Emmanuel, focusing on what you've just said. That how have you found the learning through university degree different to an apprenticeship? And do you think it suits everybody? This is kind of open to everyone, but do you think an apprenticeship suits every kind of personality, or is it a specific kind of person that might prefer an apprenticeship to university, do you think?
I think with the apprenticeship, it does require a bit more time management because you do have to juggle work alongside actually getting the qualification. But one of the benefits, specifically with working with Balfour Beatty, is that they give you the time to catch up on any of your studies, and they're there to support you. So we have emerging talent who are always checking in on us and who are ensuring that we've got all of the tools that we need to be the best, essentially, because ultimately they do want you to succeed. So you do feel that support through every step of the way. I think in terms of the actual learning side of things, again, the tutors, because they understand that you're also working full time, they do give you a bit more time. They're there to support you. They're there to say, okay, all right. They understand that we're working on live projects, and the projects are constantly evolving. They're constantly progressing. So they're not there to sort of hold you down or hamper your progress.
Amazing. And then, sort of, one last question to you all. If you were talking to somebody who's thinking of doing an apprenticeship, what is one piece of advice that you'd give them when looking for an apprenticeship that suits them or looking to apply?
Probably pick Balfour Beatty.
Great representative for the company there. Love that. Any other answers there for that one, guys?
I would say if you were to apply for Balfour Beatty, do have a look for the vacancies, because obviously there is loads of different types of roles. So if you're thinking about getting into engineering, obviously there's loads of roles there. But if you're into finance, the bit of engineering, maybe quantity surveying might be something for you, or you like leading people, project management. So, essentially, there's loads of different roles. And obviously, there's a digital side of everything. So, if you're not too sure what you want to do, have a look on the website and have a look through the vacancies, and maybe there'll be something for you.
Amazing. Thank you. Any last thoughts from anyone else, or shall we wrap that then? Wonderful. All right, then, that's a wrap on today's session. Thank you for all your questions, some great ones in there. And thank you again to Tom, Laura, Michaela, and Emmanuel for taking time to be here today. We really appreciate it. We hope you enjoy the rest of the Humber Apprenticeship Showcase. Thank you again for joining. Goodbye.